Well, in this part of Amazon, the water levels changed a lot. It's impressive. You can have 20 meters difference between the dry season and the wet season. So we fish most of the time on the dry season that starts in August, September and lasts until December, January. When you have this low water condition, all the fish are concentrated in the channels, in the lakes, and you can spot them rolling in different areas. And that's one of the most interesting things. You have a big environment, a little fish in different spots, and big fish in other spots, so you can chase them in different conditions. This is the Mamirawa Reserve. It's one of the first sustainable development reserves in Amazon, created in the 80s to protect the flora and fauna of this part between the Solimões River and the Japura River. Mamirawa, it's probably the biggest Arapaima reserve in all Amazon. It's a complex of channels, lakes that connect between these both rivers, and all these fish come into this big floating area. It's one of the biggest wetlands we have in Amazon, and the Arapaima find a perfect environment to feed and spawn here in Mamirawa. And since the beginnings, they protected the Arapaima in this area, and the communities starts to work with a local institute, the Mamirawa Institute, to find a way to have a sustainable Arapaima fishing for these communities. It's a commercial fishing they do on the sides of the reserve, and the core of the reserve right here in Mamirawa Lake, it was always protected for any kind of activity. So we proposed this idea of, we have the same projects in Bolivia and in Brazil in the Maria River, that is a complete partnership between us, our company, and then work together in this fly fishing project. They like it pretty much, the idea, and they agreed to work with us together, and then that all begins.
Quando você apareceu por aqui na primeira temporada trazendo projeto que ninguém acreditava, né? A gente ficou com aquela decisão, né? Você foi um que disse que era muito bom. Eu era um que dizia que não era muito bom, né? Aí fomos fazer o experimento da pesca com o senhor, e o seu Afonso e o seu Antônio, que é o nosso coordenador geral do setor, né? E a gente viu que nós ficamos se batendo, será que vai bem, será que não vai, né? Mas a gente só acredita se ver e participar.
It's very good to see how the project, the model we developed many years ago in other locations is expanding now to different places in the Amazon with the same idea, locals or natives working in a partnership with us, and everything is moving and going on and having success. But of course, the core of the idea is to find the best fisheries possible. If not, the whole project will not work. So that is undoubtedly the biggest population of wild arapaima in the whole earth. So the system allows a good angler to catch many different sizes of arapaima per day with very good techniques. They are divided in zones in the reserve. The schools of fish normally have this behavior. They are in groups of different sizes. So you can go to some areas and catch fish from 20 pounds to 100 pounds, which are the babies, with a 10 weight rod, floating lines, not so big flies, like if you were going for baby tarpon, but much bigger. And you will find a fish which is really similar to a tarpon, stronger perhaps. It jumps, it has a really tough take. It's really a nice sport fish. Then you have another spots, another places in the reserve where you have huge monster fish concentrated. So even when you will not have so many action, you have the real opportunity to fight with a fish of 300 pounds. You will need to use, of course, a 12 weight rod and sinking lines and bigger flies, but the opportunity is there. We were very lucky in this trip. We caught some really big fish and create some opportunities to film it. So I think it's really something very new, very interesting for a serious angler. And then you have another species. For example, in my own opinion and also Rodrigo's opinion, the arowana is one of the most interesting sport fish you can find in the Amazon. Here, the concentration of big arowanas is so big, it's so massive, that you can practice fly fishing with a 6 weight rod, 7 weight rod, floating lines, dry flies, side casting opportunities. Many times is perhaps the only one place where you can go for consistently fishing for arowana in the whole Amazon. Normally you know that it's a casual catch. When you go for peacock bass, casually you caught an arowana. Here, if you go for the arowana, you can have 10, 12 fish per session, which is a lot.
When I first got invited to come here, and I was kind of afraid because nobody really knows anything about arapaimas or even fly fishing for arapaimas is a very brand new thing. So as a fly fisherman, I came for the challenge, and when I get here, I'm amazed with the place. The place here is very unique, and you have to be here to experience those things here. Those, like the wildlife, the fishing was amazing. I never see that many fish around of my boat anywhere in Brazil. It's amazing.